As a recognized leader in embedded analytics, Yellowfin has been designed and built to enable you to embed amazing analytical experiences into your software. From a highly integrated dashboard module and self-service reporting, to enabling best practice integration that blurs the lines between analytics and your application and workflows. Modernize your reporting environment with Yellowfin to ensure your customers engage with your data, discover insights faster through automation, and innovate with contextualized analytics.
Thanks for tuning in to the Product-Led Festival. We really hope you're enjoying the summit so far because we've got even more insights heading your way. All sessions are designed to be interactive and give you the chance to engage with our panelists, so come ready to get involved with your questions and comments. For all things PLG, don't forget to check on the PLA memberships at productledalliance.com. Sit back and enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the Product-Led Festival. I'd like to give a warm welcome to our panel discussion for today. They will be discussing lean in on your competitive advantage and how to catapult your career. I would like to introduce our moderator for the session, Betsy Hoyt. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me back. This is exciting.
It's great to have you, and I will hand over to you and the panelists.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. You are in for a treat. We have got an amazing panel today, and I'd like for them all to go ahead and, there we go. Everybody's turning on their cameras. Everything's popping in. Why don't we start with just a quick round of introductions, and then we'll dive in. I'll start. So my name is Betsy Hoyt. I work for Trimble Viewpoint. I'm a director of product management. Been doing this for 20 years. So I like to say I started when I was 10. I've worked across many different industries to make technology easy and accessible for everyone. And I couldn't think of a better career. And I'm excited for you all to meet the panel and learn about their journeys. Well, let's start with you.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ola. I am a product person in Flow Health, and I do web, basically. Don't think we have titles at this point, but I do stuff and I make stuff happen. And I've been doing this for, I think, more than 10 years now. And I've tried doing this in Malaysia, in the Netherlands, where I'm based right now. Big corp. I've left Booking.com not so long ago, and now I'm with Flow. Pretty happy, and I hope I can share stuff that you would be curious to know about career paths of this wonderful profession.
Awesome. And just a quick plug, everyone, please be sure to put in your questions, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. We have a few questions that we discussed as a group that we wanted to go over, but please put your questions because this is so much better when it's interactive. Deji, let's go to you.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Deji. My full name is Ayodeji. Yeah. I'm currently a senior product manager at Amazon for Business Prime. And I have a technical background. I was once a full stack developer, so I was a tech guy, but I transitioned into product. And before now, I had a cloud hosting company back in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, which is currently the largest hosting company in Africa. So but right now I've left the startup world and right now in the enterprise field, so space. I'm excited to be in Amazon as a senior product manager. Looking forward to meeting some of you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, Nick, take us home.
Sounds good. Thanks, Betsy. My name is Nick Anderson. I am not as worldly as my co-panelists. I've always been based in the Midwest of the United States. I'm currently residing just outside Columbus, Ohio. I've had a variety of roles, both in and out of product, both individual contributor and leadership over the past couple years or past 15 years of my career. But I've always been based in healthcare. sort of stumbled into that out of the gate, right into my first job, and found a passion for it and the problems that are there. So I've always been in healthcare. And then recently I've participated in the Great Resignation, and I have just switched jobs to a company called G2O, which stands for Growth to Outcomes. And it's historically been a consulting and staffing company. But my new role is to help those organizations and G2O develop and innovate and create new products and concepts of their own.
Cool. Cool. And that really flows into the first question I wanted to ask. So Nick, since your microphone's heated up, let's continue with you. So
Sure.
So let's talk about career paths, because it's so rare for anybody to start off in product management. There's obviously a variety of career paths. So you said you've always been in healthcare until recently. So how did you get started in product management?
Yeah, it was sort of a meandering path. I really started early in my career, and I think the role was called implementation, right? It was a mix of project management, business analyst, some configuration, so having to know the in-depth parts of the software, and really sort of went from there into sort of project management type roles, but always kind of retaining those initial skills of understanding what the system looked like. And I sort of use that kind of client experience and the understanding of the software then to start developing myself as a person who could be a bridge between the customer business needs, the gaps in the software, and helping the development teams back at whatever the company is I was working at the time understand where do we need to take the product and where do we need to go. And so over time, I did that at a couple of different companies, always sort of landing in that sort of bridge role. And then in my last company, Cover My Meds, they started to really dig into product management. 4 or 5 years ago, it got really, as a discipline, I think it's been around much longer, but in the Midwest, it wasn't quite as prevalent. And so they wanted to start bringing people into that role. And so I became sort of that natural bridge, having acted almost as a PO informally, and moving into more of the direct product management. And so from there, it has just been developing and growing in that role and in a leadership capacity.
Right. And so just to make sure, so if there's anybody new to product management, by PO, you mean product owner?
I mean product owner, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And there are a little bit of differences. Also, something that's that maybe we can get Ola or Deji to talk about. Product owner and product manager mean something different based upon the regions that you're in as well. I learned this in working abroad that they're almost the reverse actually in a lot of cases, and so that might be something that we could talk about. But that again, I hear a neat theme of going, hey, I understood the software. I was working as basically a technology translator between engineering and other teams, and it seemed to be that you naturally fell into product management.
Exactly.
And saw that opportunity. That's pretty cool. Deji, what about you? How did you get into product management? Take your time because this is a really cool story.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think at first I didn't know what the role product management was. I kind of found myself doing the job even before I got the role. So I have a tech background, so I can be able to speak to engineers. I know full stack, I know backend stuff. That was how I started. And then I started my own company. So I became a businessman, and that had technical background, right? So I saw myself managing people. I saw myself, being able to talk to tech guys, being able to talk to sales, being able to talk to legal, being that person communicating with cross-functional teams. And I discovered that this was something I was doing even before I even got into Amazon. So I remember the recruiter reaching out to me and said, "Oh, you have a great background. You can speak tech, you can speak business, you can speak product. How about you come join Amazon and see how we can be able to build business products that we can be able to offer to small businesses and even enterprise businesses." So yeah, I saw myself doing the role even before I started. So it's been a quite interesting journey for me, and I think I see myself, as most of my tech guys when I'm writing my BRDs or business requirement documents, they kind of say, okay, at least he knows what it takes. He knows that this is going to be easy or not, and he knows how to go back to the business, to the leadership, and explain the technical blockers we have, and come back to us and give us that feedback. So yeah, that has been my story so far.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes that a product manager is a Jack and Jane of all trades, of understanding the business, understanding the technology, communication skills. There's the definite foundations to that. Oh, tell us, how did you get into product management?
Quite similarly, but I do want to add another one, which is curiosity. So I'm not a tech person, but I've graduated with a computer science degree. So I can talk both languages, and I came to product management through project management. But the nature of my work was a bit more than just managing a project. So I was a bit more curious and asked too many questions, and I was a bit nosy in figuring out why we're doing what we're doing, figuring out how to
Good
better
things.
do it. Those things, the usual annoying product manager attitude. And then in my company in Malaysia, we did not have a Scrum foundation. Like, we didn't have that. We had a tech team, and we had some people making stuff happen, basically walking around the tech area and asking developers for their time. And then similarly to Deji's story, there was someone who kind of brought light into this and said, hey guys, why don't we structure ourselves a little bit more productively? Let's learn this. I've heard there is this way to organize ourselves, and our CTO had experience in running Scrum teams. So we all got ourselves Scrum certified. We got called
Nice.
Scrum Masters and Scrum Product Owners. We've learned the term, we've educated the company. We grew to 30 people tech team with dedicated product owners back then. And in Asia, I found it's a little different. Back then, there was a very strong divide between product management and ownership. And it almost seemed like an owner would just be responsible for the backlog and the communication between the team and the manager that makes all the decisions or has the right to make all the mistakes, or so it seemed. It was a while ago. And then the curiosity brought me to asking similar questions. And we always have this little insecurity or identity crisis in product. Like, after you've been doing it for X years, you're like, is this how it's done? Am I good enough? Like, what's going on out there? And you go interviewing or you go talking to people. So I did that, and I found out that in Europe, it's actually the other way around. It was called product manager, and that meant, you do what you do. So it was an interesting flip. But then, yeah, I think now we're called product managers. That is what it means.
Yeah.
This is where I am now.
And I'm glad you brought it, because I had thought that was interesting. So anybody who's considering working abroad or coming to the States, because you're not in the States, it's important to know the differences. I don't think it's as common to hear product owner and product manager in the States. It's usually the hybrid of both of them. I mean, it's a pretty large organization if you get them. And I look at one of being, you have the strategy. So yeah, you are driving the ship and making the mistakes. And the other is working more directly with engineering team, working on the backlogs and the stories and such. Both vital. It's hard to do both well. And so sometimes companies split those because getting the voice of the customer and driving the strategy is a full-time job. Working with engineering, breaking down the stories and getting the things is also a full-time job. So yeah, it's appreciate your insights on that. I learned something new about Malaysia, because I didn't realize it was different there as well. So so since your mic is hot and ready to go, let's talk a little bit about teams. So we talked about some really cool things, Ola, that you have experienced. So when you're with that in mind, how are you building your teams, or what career paths do you think help in determining if somebody has a good career or starting off a career as a product manager?
It's a very good one and very close to home because right now I have two aspiring product managers on my team that are growing, one growing from a project manager role. And it's been a very gradual and nice transition because what she was doing was just getting more and more responsibility with direct mentorship. So it was really hands-on, but it was in a very nice environment where, she's pretty much just doing more and more. And the other one is transitioning from quality assurance. So she's a QA engineer with a very strong commercial awareness and business focus. Very curious as well. So that is an interesting combination. And what she's growing into is more of a technical product manager. So she's taking a lead on more technical projects and deliverables that require a bit more understanding of how things are built. So that's a really nice one. And I'm also hiring two more. And for those roles, I seek experience. I need someone who knows these certain industries or certain, skill sets. So I'm looking for an experienced product person with that experience. So it's interesting. It's like three in one team at a given time. So it can be anything depending on what problem you're trying to solve and what role you're trying to fill.
I love it because I was just looking over at the questions that were coming in, and you just, I think you answered one of the questions, and I'm totally going to probably say uh, Tomasa, Tomasos name wrong, so I apologize in advance because my name gets mispronounced all the time. But of that, are you looking for strong technical or are you looking for a specific field? So I think you addressed that really well. And so Nick, I want to bounce over the question to you. What are you looking for when you're building out your teams? And let's dig a little bit, into, do you look more at the technical, or do you look more at the industry? Because again, you've been mostly in healthcare. How important is the industry knowledge?
Yeah, it's a good question because my answer is very similar to Ola's. It really depends on the role, right? What does the team need now? What kind of product is it that we're looking for? That probably changes some of those dimensions that you're looking for, whether it's industry knowledge, direct product management experience, technical aptitude. I think, in general, I like to try to think about when I'm hiring for a role, like three real factors, right? One is that industry knowledge. One is experience, and one is just general aptitude, like that curiosity, that demonstrated ability to go solve problems. I think somebody who can demonstrate two of those, you can always train the person up, right? Like I can give you a bunch of reading on an industry. I can tutor you a little bit on that. I probably can't tutor you on that and product management experience at the same time, right? And so it's sort of like not is that the most critical thing? It's do you check 4 of the 5 boxes or 3 of the 4 boxes? Because I can get you up to speed on the other side. Is where are we going to invest our time when you come on board? I think especially for people looking to move into product or who are maybe more junior in product, what I look for from an experience standpoint really comes down to, it's less have you mastered the ceremonies of Scrum, and it's going to be more around, when I'm looking at resume, can I see that your product, what were your OKRs? Did you achieve what outcomes did you achieve?
Yeah.
Do you have experience working with customers and getting feedback? And so I like to look for those sorts of more soft skills than the kind of process focused components of product.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's really good. And I like the 4 out of 5. Remember, folks, when you're applying for a job, if you check all the boxes, then that probably is beneath you. So you need to look at it for growth. And I'm going to be a little bit gender specific here. I'm talking to the women here specifically. Apply. Don't wait to hit all the marks, because if you think you need to have 100%, then you're aiming too low. And I will speak from experience. I've done that. Don't do that. Apply. All right, JD, let's talk about what you're looking for when you're building out your teams.
Okay, so now for Q1 next year, I'm looking at bringing in some team members, and so I'm looking at two ways. So I'm going to need someone who's technical and someone who doesn't need to be technical. So here at Amazon, we have product managers and we have product management technical. So my role is product management technical because I have the technical background. But right now I'm beginning to see needs for having someone who has a technical background and having someone who might not have a technical background but could be able to relate with sales guys because I need someone who can. We have lots of ask from our sales because we are dealing with businesses. It's more like business B2B. So I think it depends on the role. So some roles, like Nick said, even if you have the technical skills alone, I can be able to train you. I can come like when I joined Amazon, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't even know that we had Amazon business. All I knew that there's Amazon Prime. So when I met with the manager, so this is not for Amazon, this is for Amazon business. I was like, oh, Amazon business. I've never had that. But I came into the team. They trained me. We had lots of knowledge-based materials, and I was able to catch up on time. And so they needed someone who had technical skills, and I have teammates that don't have technical skills, but they're also product managers, right? Some have maybe knowledge in SQL, some just basic little tech stuffs. So they are just product managers. But if I'm looking for product manager in technical, then I need to look for someone with technical background. So yeah, I think it's a two-edged sword there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that's the important thing is there's different needs based upon the teams. I mean, the things I look at, like when I'm building my team is, okay, what am I not so great at? And I want to hire people who can fulfill those needs. And I have a long list of things I don't think I'm good at. So when I'm building out the teams or somebody who I just really need to be a subject matter expert in something, I try to build out the team that way. And so, Deji, since your mic's hot, I'm gonna move the next question into you since you're all warmed up, right? You work for Amazon. I mean, and people look at that, and for some people, that's their goal. They want to work for a big brand, and I think we all fall victim to this of comparing ourselves to say, oh, wow, Deji works for this big brand, or Nick has this great title that I want. And it's, it can get a little bit, we can psych ourselves out. So how did you get where you are now? And I want to dig into some of the things that we had that you were talking about, some techniques of how you were successful when we were preparing for this.
Yes. So someone looking at my profile now say, oh yeah, like you said, he works for Amazon. Oh, it might have been maybe smooth for him. I think myself, I came from one of the most, will I say, rural places in Nigeria, and maybe 1 out of 1,000 gets to work for a big firm, not even as big as Amazon. Yes. So for me, the odds were pretty low, and but one thing I tell people, because I have lots of people that go to my LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I see you came from this town. How did your school was not a big school? I didn't go to an Ivy League school. How?" I get lots of questions, and I tell most people that, I didn't start off saying I want to work for Amazon. No, I just had the curiosity, like Ola said, about how those websites made. I kept asking questions, and I really wanted to know the how. And I started digging, and I saw myself doing graphics, doing websites, doing. Later, I went to C Sharp. Like most of these things, my final year, it kind of affected my grades, but I still got out with a good grade. It was more of curiosity. I wanted to know more. I wanted to build more. I saw myself into the tech world, started writing code. It was not about the money at that time. It was more like how are these things done? And after that, I happened to get lucky to I got a scholarship to India. I knew about cloud hosting, and I saw myself coming back, seeing some few business partners. Oh, this thing is raining in India. Let's bring cloud hosting to Africa. And I started host now. and that was it. We built Host Now from just a 10 customer company to about now we have over 500,000 customers. So it was more like a gradual process, yes. And at every point in my time, I actually had a model I looked up to. So I look at this person and say, oh, this person has done this. I think I can do this. This person, and when I get to the stage, I look forward to another person say, oh yeah, this person did this. I did 2 years ago. I didn't think I should be working for Amazon, right? But I saw one of my models. Oh, he's working for Microsoft. How is that possible? I like it was. I said, okay, how about me trying, going into the enterprise space and leaving the startup space, and yeah. So here am I today. So it wasn't like a smooth step. It was more. It was something I built over the years. So that is what I just keep telling people.
So the things that I want to underline is you talked about modeling. And I think that is a fantastic technique of who do you want to emulate? What are they doing? And I think that's a healthy type of comparison when you're like, I could do that. Let me see what makes that so amazing. I love that. And I loved also the curiosity and that you researched and you looked into things, and I think that's an important thing. And it kind of gets into what Sylvie was talking about of having, when you're starting out and you have the 1 year experience, how do you look more credible? And Deji, what would you say to her of how did you, when you were starting out, how did you address that of having less experience?
Yes. Yeah, less experience is it's to me it's not a minus. Most when I'm hiring, I don't I yes, I look at okay, you have 1 year, you might have 6 months. But I think the attitude or the desire to learn more is what I look into when I'm hiring. Like this
Bingo.
person has maybe 1 year, but do I see that zeal, that passion to learn more and say, okay, yes, I hired someone. I had a story that was when I started Host Now, and she came into my office and she said, um, I'm not good at this. I don't have experience, but I can tell you what I did in a field that was not related to what you are doing. And she told me, and she blew away my mind. And when she was leaving that my office, I told the HR that this person has no experience or whatsoever. But I like her attitude. I like that the fact that she was able to bring in what she has done before and tell me about that. And I see her zeal. So I just said we are hiring her. So sometimes it might not just be about 10 years of experience, maybe just a few months. And I know, just to add on that, you don't have to have experience in, let's say, that field. You can bring in your experience in other fields and talk about it to your recruiter or the hiring manager.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Ola, how about over to you of, again, in that same line of like comparing ourselves to others, because it's easy to go, hey, I know you said you don't have titles, but you're pretty solid in your career. How did you get where you are now? And feel free to also dive into Sylvie's question of like, how do you address when you're newer in and trying to land that next step?
Thank you. I do appreciate the question a lot, and I think the easiest answer is you just don't compare yourself to others. Like, you don't compare. You look at others and you see what they did, so you could probably try out the similar approaches. And I got to where I am right now when I stopped comparing myself to others and I let go of that desire for the title, because I've lived it. I was like, in my previous environment, it was kind of a structured career path, and like all of my friends get promoted. I didn't get promoted. What was I doing wrong? So it was a little bit of this self-doubt, and well, that was more of a signal to leave the environment rather than to doubt myself. But that's let's save it for another question. But this one is I don't believe you should be self-aware when it comes to product management, because two things. One, remember when I said I was looking around in the industry trying to see what other companies call product managers. So I applied to Booking.com, and they did not hire me because they said I lacked certain hard skills. And a year later, they called me again saying, "Do you want to go through that again? Because you had the soft skills, and we realized that we can actually teach you the hard skills." I've learned that A/B testing that I was missing in 2 weeks, and it was nothing I couldn't have learned. It wasn't rocket science. And then
Wow.
they've realized that actually, what soft skill is harder to teach than hard skill. Except for extremely technical roles, which is preferred, to have that skill. But for general product management roles, I think if you're humble, if you're curious, and if you have the soft skill to survive this whole switching context, switching hats, and doing all of that, and what Deji said, you just talk to people, you figure things out, you use your life experience, and you apply it to the field. And the best thing is nobody teaches product management. There's no degree, so you're starting off the same as everyone else. There is no like graduation where you like leave and you're like fighting for the roles. No, you just use what you have. You boost your soft skills. You get a little bit here and there from different roles you've been doing, and it all adds up, and then you connect the dots, looking backwards, being like, all of that, what I did actually helps me now. So it's a really nice one. And just to add to Sylvia's question, she was like, how do I do? I have a nice example. I wouldn't treat product management as a linear progression that, you get 3 years and then you get this, and then you go 5 years, you get that. I think you should be open to opportunities and possibilities. And even if you have to step down a little bit, but move to a different platform that can then help you grow into a new role or new context or new expertise, consider that, because it's not like this. It's never like this. And it's usually you just have to figure out what is the next best thing for you to do, and you just take it one step at a time. And then you look back and you're like, we
I
all
love
come
that.
from different paths. There's no one way to go. You start from this, you go to that, and that. I don't think so. And it's the fun thing about it, because we soft skill our jobs ourselves, pretty much, I believe.
I think that's rock solid. I love that. So this may be more of an American approach, and I don't exactly feel this way, but I read a quote that your current job should be growing your bank account and should be growing, and you should be growing as in you're learning things. Ideally, you want both, but always pick learning. And I'm paraphrasing because typically American is like always grow your bank account, but in product management, you should be learning. Otherwise, I don't find it as satisfying. And I love what you said, Ola, there. So, Nick, round us out in how you got to where you are now.
I mean, I don't know if I can follow Ola there. That was some pretty amazing advice. I think where I got to. I think to kind of hit on a few of these themes that just came up is I know I'm not the best product manager in the world. I look at other people and I'm always amazed by what they do and how they approach the discipline. And I really look at that comparison as like, what are they doing that I could be learning from? But I think for me, one of the things that really helped me grow my career was thinking not just about how do I do product management in terms of the product that I'm working on right now, but what is the whole ecosystem that's out there, right? What is, I think for me, I would call it domain expertise in healthcare and the software and vendors and technologies that are out there, and how do they all interplay and work with each other. And so I made it my sort of a little bit of a passion driven by curiosity to learn as much as I could about the space and how that could apply back to the products that I was working on. What are our competitors doing? What are the big industry trends, especially healthcare? There's a lot of regulations coming down the pipe. Will that affect what we're doing today? And try to take a point of view on it. It doesn't even matter if it's my point of view. It could be the point of view I read in the paper yesterday. But if I can think about that point of view and agree with it and anchor it back to what we're doing at the company or with the exact product, and be able to talk about it, share those articles, become that person that knows more than just what's inside the four walls of your company. And I think we pigeonhole ourselves a lot in product, thinking about, I hear our product managers talk a lot about what the customer experience and that end user experience, which is critical to making the product work. but stepping back from that from time to time and saying, the people who are buying the software your users are working on are being impacted by these other things. And if they don't see the value, they're not going to buy your product. And so how do you position it? How do you plan your 2-year roadmap if you don't know where the industry and some of the trends are going? And so I think my advice, twofold, is one, it's not necessarily your execution of the discipline that's going to move your career forward. Think about other places where your curiosity is taking you, and make sure that you're lifting your head up from time to time to see what else is happening in the world, in your space, and tangential technologies, so you can try to bring that back and share it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Which nicely flows into the next question. So I'm gonna sign you up for this one. Because you were talking about what's career advancement and what's going to the next. So let's dig a little bit deeper there. It can either be what you looking for and how do you get to your next step, or you can talk about it from the aspect of your team. Either way you want to take it, Nick.
Yeah. So you're asking like how do you advance? What do you do? How do you move
how do you approach that next step in with you or with your team? Because I mean, again, trying to hold clear to like this being your acceleration for your career. Let's help our audience on what your advice is here.
I think some of the advice that I give the product people and other team members who work for me is, let's have a conversation about where you want to go, right? Because as your leader, and they're constantly in there triaging requests from their peers, from customers, from outside the organization, and there's all these essentially from their perspective work items, but from your perspective it's opportunities to do things that are slightly outside your role. And so if you are comfortable with who your direct manager is and you're willing to have a conversation and say, I'm interested in moving into this product, or I'm interested in becoming a manager, or whatever your interest, wherever your interest lies, go to them and let them know that and have a conversation, and they can maybe say, here's some tasks or opportunities right now. Or I know with some of my team members, I just kind of file those things away, and then as requests come in, if they've got capacity, I check in with them and say, hey, here's this thing. I think it could be a good way for you to demonstrate these core skills we talked about you maybe lacking, or needing to develop and get more experience so you can get to the next step. Do you have time and interest in taking it? And so if they don't know where you want to go, they're not going to get you the opportunities that you want, or that you could use to demonstrate that you have the capacity to move to whatever that next step is. And so again, the advice I would have is, as long as you trust your manager, and you're comfortable talking with the manager, be clear about where you want to go, even if it's outside product, even if it's outside their direct reporting structure. A good manager is going to help develop you and help you get those opportunities, but they can't do it without knowing.
Right. So ask for what you want is what I'm hearing.
That's right.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Ella, how about you? You can take this from your career advancement of how you're looking at your next thing, or how you advise your teams on how they grow their career.
I think what Nick said was really spot on, because you should ask first, or there should be an environment where you feel safe asking, or at least just sending that out to the universe. I think the most common thing I've got from people who came to, I don't like the mentoring word about it, but people who approached me, they said, I think I want to grow into product management. Can we talk more? And that's the best approach, because I think you can't know it until you've tried it. And what I tell these guys is, you can already be a product manager if you just change the way you look at things. What Nick said, you have to zoom in, zoom out. You approach things a little bit differently. And what I've learned from those applying to different companies was that until you've really tried it and you've lived at least one little thing or one project that you looked at as a product manager, you don't have that in your eyes. You don't believe in yourself just yet, and I just believe you have to go to it. Go try, do it where you can, where you are, and then come to your manager or whoever you feel the trust to come up and say, hey, I worded the intention. I believe I could try this, and this is what I did, and this is what I've tried, or this is what I don't understand. Come with something, and then it is a great conversation starter, and I've never seen that fail.
Wow.
And I believe it's really about you thinking, if you have that curiosity, that's it. I believe you should just go for it and give it a try. And there's no wrong about it. You can always go back. I've had people trying a role and they were like, nah, not really, not my thing. And they go back, and that's fair. And I think if you're curious and humble enough to go through it, going to be totally fine.
If you're learning, then it's not a mistake.
It's never a failure if you've learned. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Deji. What about you? Let's talk about career advancement. Again, you could take it from the aspect of how do you look for your next building block, because everybody has different ways, or how you coach your team to enable their growth.
Yeah, I think Nick and always said most of what was I had in mind. Like they covered it extensively. I just feel you need to talk, especially if you have a manager, and depends. Do you want to grow in the company that you are currently at? For example, for me, 2023, I want to go into full AI. Yeah, so I've had this discussion with my manager, and yeah, and this is something he was like, oh, okay, yeah. Next year, we're looking at how we can bring AI into Business Prime. Yeah, why don't we continue doing what we're doing? Maybe Q2 or Q3 of next year, both of us have another meeting and see I'm going to make you lead that team that is going to use AI for Amazon Business Prime. So, I mean, I was so happy. Like, oh, yeah, cool. So I think talking to your manager, it's going to really help. You never know what they have in mind. So I think Nick and all covered it very well.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a pause here, and I want us to address Judson's question. And I won't pick on anybody specific. I'll give everybody just a minute because there's a lot there. But Judson's interviewing for a PMPO role with specific specifications. So you can see this in the public chat. But the candidate has an extreme range of experience, successful agency, enterprise SaaS, marketplace, REST APIs. What do you think? If you were saying, okay, I've got a very specific, narrow specifications, but this person has a broad aspect, would you interview this person? What would you advise Judson to do? I have thoughts on it, but I don't want to jump in on anyone, but I'm also thinking, because I have some open positions on my team, and but think back to some of the things like what you're looking for in your teammates. Would you tell Judson to go for it?
Personally, I would say yes. If that's if again, it's narrow, and if you've had that broad range of experiences, you need to have a self moment where you reflect, will you be happy in a niche that narrow? But if the answer to that is yes, then I would say, yeah, you should pursue it. But given that you know that it is narrow, I think I would take time before your interview, take time before you send your resume to tailor it a little bit to emphasize those components. The broad experience is great because it brings diversity of thought. You've seen a lot of things, how it's been done in different industries, how it's done in different, tech focused versus, more consumer focused. That's great. And it's possible that in time, we're, 2 years down the line, we're thinking about how does that become more like some of those things. And so you're potentially setting, the company up for good things with your background. But I would definitely try to tailor what I present to hit those key pieces that they're looking for. But I definitely would not, if that's where I want to go, I would not hesitate to apply.
Oh. And I think Judson here is saying, yeah, because I'm, maybe I misread that of like going if they're saying you're interviewing, yeah, for narrow specifications, because I agree with that. It's like, Nick, it's like, and what Ola had said earlier, it's like jobs change. Corporations, organizations may determine that they need something else as you come in, because I mean, every job I've ever had, it's a list of requirements, and then and as needed or some other generic clause. And so I think the more that you can bring it is good. Does anybody else want to add on to what Nick said?
Yeah, I just a 1 minute add on there. So yes, I think I saw myself in this spot. I was the candidate like when I applied, when I decided to go into the enterprise space. So I saw myself like, oh, I don't have this. I'm kind of, yeah, I have technical skills. I ran a business. But it was not narrowed down. So I think I had this fear of like, oh, he doesn't have an enterprise experience. I don't think we're gonna want him, and that kind of made me not want to apply. But I later applied. I applied to Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and amazingly, Amazon and Microsoft gave me an offer at the same time, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!" But I thought I didn't have like this. So I saw myself. Yeah, I saw myself as okay. I had so many things, like what
Yeah,
Judson said, REST
yeah,
APIs. I ran a successful business, but it was not that narrow to a specific. How will I put it? Yeah. So I saw myself in that space, and well, this is what people are actually looking forward to. People like what Nick said, diversity of thoughts. They need someone that
yeah.
can be able to come in and say, "Oh yes, I've done this before. I think I can bring it in. I've done that. Oh, I've done that before. I can bring it in." So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just my to say.
No, I like that. And kind of to add on to it of like, if you find yourself in that position where somebody's saying, "Oh, you're overqualified and I don't know what to do with you," type of, information in that case, then takes Nick's advice, tailor your resume a little bit more to what they're looking for, but don't be afraid just to go in there with a statement of, "This is what I bring to the company and this is what I'm going to do for you." Here's the positive statement, because I agree with John there. If you've got a positive attitude, and you're coming in, hire them. And if you find yourself where they're not saying that you're the right fit, tell them you're right fit. And if you if it doesn't work out, then keep looking because there's a lot of great opportunities out there. And embrace your inner rock star. You'll find the right place and you'll be happy instead of trying to fit yourself in somewhere if they don't see how awesome you are. It's hard, but keep going.
I know I see Judson, I think maybe replied, he sounds like he's maybe getting 2 final interviews, right? So it's telling me that his experience is helping him, right? He's getting all the way. It's
Yeah.
something about, I think to your point, Betsy, that statement of passion, right? They're picking up some sort of, liking of the broadness versus some hesitancy around the narrow. And so it's something with the answers, and just honing in that is something you would be happy there, and giving them
Yeah.
confidence in that.
Yeah. And it's a two-way street. You want to make sure you're going to be happy too. So if you can't articulate why you're going to be happy and what you bring to them, then maybe they're just not your right fit, and that's okay. That's why there's other opportunities. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Um all right. So the topic and the thing that we've heard a lot about is um the great resignation. So people are leaving different companies. They're doing big career changes. And some people may be looking at this of, when do you know it's the right time to leave your position or company? And Nick, I'm curious why you were in healthcare and what was your decision making process that said, okay, I'm ready to change industries?
Yeah. And so I guess just to be, the where I've come to, I still get to dabble a little bit in healthcare, but I'm also now expanding into financial services and some other
Okay.
industries, and so broadening my knowledge. So I didn't have to completely abandon, that passion for healthcare and healthcare problems, but I'm also, in a position now where I'm new in an industry and I'm in the deep end trying to figure out how to make that work. But I think, when I think about like why people leave, there's, your high level buckets of, pay, or, do you like the people you work with, and do you like and trust
Huge.
your manager, right? But for
Yeah.
me, it really came down to, I've done a lot of kind of reflection on what kind of companies do I like to work with, what sorts of, where in the problem space do I like to be? And so for me, it came down to, I've always enjoyed more small companies, and I enjoy small companies because I like autonomy and I like little process. I don't like a lot of imposed process. Other people I know prefer lots of process, right? It's you have to know for yourself, what do you like and what do you enjoy. And so for me, my current organization had gotten really big. There was a lot more to get things done. There were more hurdles to release a new product. And so to me, it started to feel not like my ideal workspace. And so I took that. And then I really enjoy that early concept stage of product. Once that product's been out in the market for a few years and you're more focused on, should this button be red or green to trigger more clicks, that's less interesting to me than the kind of vetting out and validating bigger ideas and concepts. And so just understanding for myself what I like in a job, what types of things make me excited to get out of bed every morning. I took that and said, the role I'm in has grown and shifted. It's not quite that same thing anymore. And so when an opportunity came along that put me back in that kind of sweet spot, I jumped at it. But I think you need to know what gets you excited every day. What are the problems that you like to solve? What are the structures you like around you to make you comfortable and happy? And companies evolve and change, and so where you're at is going to evolve and change, and all of that's going to be dynamic.
Yeah, no, that's rock solid. Deji, what about you? How do you know when it's time to make a change?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think my recent change has just been, transitioning from an entrepreneur to working for a company. So yeah, it was a big change, and because the company I started, it got acquired. So there were lots of changes. So when you go through this acquisition phase, when your company gets sold, you kind of go through several phases. And the company that bought my company was way bigger. It's in America here. So it's so many changes, leadership changes, and yes, structural changes. And I discovered, just like what Nick said, we were beginning to just manage what we had built. I'm kind of a person that wants to build. Like I like creating. Like this is not there. I just like to come build something. So trying to work on something that has been built, it's not just basic for me. I want to wake up and say, I want to wake up in the morning and say, yes, this is the next thing I want to build. So I saw myself looking for companies that supported that. And so when I got my offers, Microsoft, Amazon, I asked people, which company do you think is going to support me more to want to build something new? And yeah, most of the responses I got, oh yeah, if you want to work, yeah, you can go for Amazon. And it was not more of the pay, because I guess Microsoft was want to pay more. So it was something I wanted to, it's all about me right now. So that's what I tell people. What do you love? What is going to keep you awake at night? What do you want to wake up in the middle of the night and say, yes, this is the next thing I want to do? So yeah, I just think it depends on the individual, what's going to make you happy, what's your style, and yeah, just go for it. So
I love that you both said what gets you out of bed, what excites you of it.
Exactly.
To me, that's a telltale sign that I'm not satisfied, that I'm stuck.
Exactly.
And so it's, do I need to change my environment or my attitude? Those are the kind of the questions I ask myself. Is it, do I need to change my perspective because I'm wallowing in something, or I'm trying to get through the muck? Or is it something that I'm just like, yeah, no, wait a minute, this is where I want to be. Ola, do you have anything else you would like to add? I mean, this is, I've been seeing you nod your head and stuff like that, but I want to give you a chance to comment as well of like, is there, when you're looking at your next opportunity, how do you know it's time to go?
Thank you. I have a lot to say, but I will be short. So I do have a little bit of a more structured approach to what you said. Am I happy? Yes, no. Am I happy in this particular role? Yes, no. Or should I just see what other opportunities are in this environment? What do I not like, or what do I like? Usually, it's time to go when you're a bit more unhappy than happy. You know what I mean? So if you leave something, then of course you feel it, you know it. If you start self-doubting, that's to me the biggest sign that it's probably not you. And what Nick said, environments do change, world changes, you change, everything changes, and it might just not be the fit anymore. And then, so what I do is a little decision kind of tree way. And I do a monthly retrospective. I just take a deep breath. I sit down and I'm like, okay, was it just an occasional burst of emotion, or am I, seeing a symptom here? And then I just do this little, am I happy? Yes, no. Is it the environment? Is it me? What is it that drives me? But it's all about you, really. It's about how you feel, and you see how that works in the current environment or it doesn't work. And then you just see what options you have. I would just say do something. Don't sit on it for too long. If you're unhappy, you will just go spiraling into that thought. Try to do something. Maybe just doing something about it will make you see things differently, and you will happily stay in your current role, or you will grow in the role, or stay in the same company doing something else. Just do something. And if you have that nudge, it's probably something telling you that you should take a step back and have a good think about it. But yeah, to me, especially for the women out there, if you're starting to self-doubt yourself, please stop and do apply that thinking, and don't make it too harsh on yourself. It's sometimes really about the environment that's just not fit, or the people that you're
That's
just not
fair.
great with. It's fine, and it's not your fault. I would just say, be very, you have only yourself. Take care of yourself, and there is a lot of opportunities out there. And think of the opportunity loss if you just sit here pondering on this for 5 months, versus just taking that leap, going somewhere else and learning a ton of new things in those 5 months. Which would you choose?
Okay, two things I want to point out. First of all, monthly reflection, amazing. That's fantastic. And then second, that you had a decision tree and the workflows of that. And I'm going to pick at you for just a minute that you said, oh, you don't think of yourself as technical. I cannot think of a more engineering approach than having a decision tree of yes, no, and evaluation. So please don't ever say you're not technical, because that's amazing. And that is a fantastic approach to, is it an emotional response, which is totally fair, or is it based upon other factors? I'm going to take that little thing and I'm going to look at that on some other decisions I need to make in my life and apply that. I love that. Thank you. That was amazing. We only have just a couple more minutes. And so I just want to end. This is something that I like to do with when I get to meet awesome panels like this is, what's your little nugget? What's that one piece of advice you would give people looking at product management or looking to expand their careers? So it could be something you read, something that you hold near and dear to your heart, a philosophy or anything like that. So I will let you guys decide who wants to go first, since I've been picking on each of you at a time. So just take yourself off of mute and tell. If not, then I will get a volunteer.
Okay, yeah, I guess I can go first. I
All right.
just a quick one. My mom always says, no knowledge gained is wasted, and I've always held that to myself. So I think self-development is something that, if no matter the career, maybe products, tech, I've just always applied it. Self-development, learn more, curiosity.
Excellent.
How does it work? So no knowledge gained is wasted for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
I guess I'll go. I think I would go with, don't hesitate to reach out to people. Most people will give you 30 minutes. You may have to be flexible about when that 30 minutes happens, but reach out about career advice, reach out about making a connection, get a coffee with somebody. But don't hesitate or be afraid to reach out because you think they're not going to like you or they're not going to want to meet with you. Most people, if you say, hey, I'm trying to learn about something or I have an interest for this reason, will give you at least a half hour of their time to listen and give you some advice and talk through it with you and help you build your network.
Awesome.
I would add to both these statements and just say, be kind and humble. It will never hurt you, but it will get you out of a lot of sticky situations if you just stay humble and kind.
Yeah, nice. I had such an amazing time prepping for this, getting to know the three of you. I think the audience participation, I think this is, I'm going to put this down as a win category. This was a fantastic opportunity to get to know you all. I learned a little bit. I hope everyone else did as well. And thank you to PLA for bringing us together so that I got to meet these wonderful people. Thank you so much for everyone's time today.
Thank you so much, Betsy, and everyone, all the panelists, and to our attendees. That was a great panel discussion and some great words of wisdom to end on there. I safely say everyone enjoyed that. Lots of questions in the chat, which is great. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you to our panelists again for the wonderful discussion today. And yeah, stay tuned for some more content this afternoon. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.